I call on the President to propose a moratorium on foreclosures as part of his menu of options for housing finance reform. A moratorium will help stabilize communities, reducing the number of vacant homes that breed crimes, gangs, and fires. Over 28,000 children are homeless, and I challenge all of you in the media to look under the bridges of Chicago and share pictures of the villages of homeless people. Freddie Mac got bailed out while our people got put out of their homes. You will not find pictures of Chicagoans sleeping under our bridges and in homeless shelters in the so-called front-runners commercials. I think that's because he doesn't want anybody to talk about the fact that while he was on the board of Freddie Mac, he was paid $250,000 for being there at a time that Freddie Mac made a $6 billion accounting error. He was there at the same time the government insured mortgages were being bought and sold and swapped so that a few rich guys could get richer, sit on their yachts in Florida while average folks got left out in the cold. And that's just the tip of an ethical iceberg that Chicago's biggest snowplows can't remove. The Sun-Times, the Tribune, and the New York Times have begun to chip away at the sides. Their articles this week report a disturbing pattern that shows politicians using public office for huge personal gain. I am here today in behalf of the regular working people of the city who want to know the real story. I'm here to challenge the front runner, the one with the $14 million campaign fund, in case you're confused on that note, to spend some of that money on a full disclosure of how he used his government connections to get personally rich. Public ethics require public disclosure of transactions that rely on public office to create private wealth. The people need to know. The people need to know. Did he sell his relationships in the Congress and the Clinton White House to the Wasserstein-Perella investment banking firm? He was paid $18.5 million in 2.5 years right after he left the Clinton White House. And the lack of transparency about private financial dealings there raises questions whether and to what extent the public may have been the source of the front runner's personal wealth. Illinois law requires a lobbyist registration for anyone who, quote, and I want to quote, undertakes communication with a government official with the ultimate purpose of influencing any executive, legislative, or administrative action. That's pretty broad. That's pretty clear. He is not a lawyer, an MBA, or a CPA, nor did he have any credentials as a banker when hired by Wasserstein-Perella. A spokesman for the firm told the media that he was hired to, quote, manage relationships. So there must be a reason he did not register as a lobbyist. The people have a right to know what that reason might be. Many of the transactions the articles describe would have required official approvals from regulatory bodies. I think the people have a right to know which regulators were contacted on behalf of his client and whether he considered those contacts as exempt from the lobbyist registration law. Finally, Freedom of Information requests have been made for the minutes of the Freddie Mac board on which he served. That board was cited for its lack of oversight and now will probably be dismantled. Taxpayers are on the hook for an estimated $200 billion, and we have got no explanation of what was and was not done in regards to his service on that board. How a $9 billion accounting mistake was made and the board didn't know about it.